Happy New Year! Welcome to the 4-6 weeks first grade curriculum preview. I hope you had a great holiday and just blessings over you for this next year. Let's take a look at our reading expectations for Unit 3. I hope you have your unit overview in front of you to follow with me. This 6 weeks we want students at a satisfactory level to be at a text level G. Really would prefer they'd be at a level H. That's really they'd be going strong into the first of the year. By looking at the reading expectations, we want them reading independently for greater than 20 minutes with comprehension and fluency. That's in the instructional level. Can't overemphasize that we can't get better at reading unless they're reading. And reading in self-selected text during that independent reading time, giving them some choice. You have 300 minutes of guided reading with you. And once again, the heart of the reading workshop is in that guided reading. That's where you're going to move students with guiding them, giving them that reading instruction. With the independent reading, we want like a reading response, some type of reading response with that independent reading to really make sure the accountability piece is there. Our reading expectation for the sight words is that they are reading them fluently in isolation and in context of authentic literature. And then I hope you're using your reader's notebook because they're so powerful to set goals and show them where they are, and then putting things in there that will help them during independent reading time. The Fountas and Pinnell Continuum of Literacy Learning is one of the best resources we have put on your campuses, and I really encourage you to go get it and look at it because this is an adaptation from this book, and it talks about at level G, how do we get better at what we do as a teacher? Is we know what the text looks like, we know what the expectations and behaviors we're looking for, so if we know what we're looking for, we can better assess and help kids. So this is what the continuum does. It shows you what the descriptors of that level is, and then what are the characteristics. Now in the book it has so much more deeper work has word work that you would do at that particular level, just like in addition to your Jan Richardson books. The continuum is rich. If you don't know about it, ask your academic coach about it or contact me and I'll come out and show you how to use it because it's a great tool. Demonstration of reading mastery this 6 weeks. They're making inferences to identify character traits and feelings, and then they're reading independently with fluency and comprehension. Phonics, here's our skills: digraphs, consonant vowel graphs, vowel digraphs, syllabication, closed syllables, final stable syllables, being able to read contractions, then those wonderful high frequency words, all 60 of them. And then in spelling, they're expected to spell one syllable words with that sneaky E, and then once again the high frequency words, and then being able to spell words with inflectional endings. So what does that word study look like for you? That 5 to 10 minutes each day called word study. So if you're looking at your English word study, you're in your pacing guide week 19, here's your in a snap words. You're looking at the patterns of AY, OLD, and INK and securing those for this 4-6 weeks. Week 20, you're focusing on adding inflectional ending S to one-syllable CVC words, and I love this right here. This is what you would put in your writing notebook about adding S to a noun, is to form how you do that. And then when you add S to make a verb fit, you have to make it fit the noun or pronoun. So beginning that subject-verb agreement at an early age. Week 21, 24, you're looking at that vowel consonant sneaky E pattern. And take a look at the way that we've written that instructions for you. Here's week 21 through 24 about the words that we really want them to secure. So having fun with that English word study. So what other types of word study? You're teaching your phonics. In your phonics, you're doing vowel digraphs and consonant digraphs. So your Fountas and Pinnell phonics lessons, if you look in page 269, 272, you're going to see word sorts and word games to use with them, and actually mini lessons to do with them during that 5 to 10 minutes. And then here are some activities to maybe put into your workstations. Teaching syllables, here is a link about how to teach syllables, doing lots of phonemic awareness with these babies. They need that. Then adding those vocabulary words to their notebook, and then here's a link to the vocabulary games. They'll be looking at nouns, pronouns, and contractions, and the best way I know how to do that is play on notice with sentences from mentor text. It's like a DOL, but it's a great great sentence, perfect sentence with using a noun and a pronoun that an author did, a book that you've read, and said, look at how Eric Carle used nouns in this sentence. So you would have it on the board, and maybe they would write it and say, who knows where the noun is in this verb? What does the noun do? Why do you think that Eric Carle chose this noun? Why do you chose this pronoun? Or look at the contraction. Do you see the contraction? Do you know what two words they used to be? Playing with it. I notice. That's going to give you more bang for buck than any type of sentence that has wrong things in there correcting it. So if you need to know how to play I notice, just give me a call, because it's a great way to do grammar. The other things that you're going to be looking for is nouns, inflectional endings, and then pronouns. No better way to teach it than doing an anchor chart. And there's so many great, there's some great resources out there to show you some different things, but the more that they can interact with these parts of grammar and how they're used, because actually it says they will use and understand the parts of grammar. So I thought these were some really great ones, and I love this one on punctuation. I think this one's a great one that you would do, and then you would put this in their writing notebook, and then you would go back to say, hey, look at this is under the P, and when we're looking at revising and editing, are you putting your periods, you putting your exclamation marks, and question marks if you're asking a question. So those are some great ways to teach that. Academic vocabulary, so important that we teach that and have kids understanding what those words mean, so when they see them other ways. So the academic vocabulary is just as important as the vocabulary that you're choosing. The independent reading, the responses, the tic-tac-toes, I can't overemphasize how great those are. You can make your own, but we've given you a start to those about having kids being responsible during that independent reading time. So let's take a look at reading. The lead standard, they're expected to make inferences. Right? So how we've broken it down this time is about character traits and feelings based on the textual evidence. Not about how they think they act, but what is the author saying through his pictures and the text about the characters. So that's your lead standard that's going to guide everything. You're going to have your processes of reading. You're going to have your genres, fairy tales, poetry, being able to retell the important ideas in those. With literary fiction, our purpose, our ISD, the ISD expectation is that they recognize and understand the function of the introduction and conclusion, or the purpose of a story. In culture or history, you're going to be using all those text features to locate specific information, and in procedural text, they're explaining the meaning of specific signs and symbols, like in their map features. So those social studies readers would be great for that. So let's take a look at your focus lesson. Your grade level poster, everything says something. It kind of gives you the guiding questions for the whole unit. What are you doing when you're looking at books? And I'll let you read those. 3 kinds of thinking, really focusing on the introduction of a story, how the author used the introduction, and you can do that, or how do they introduce the informational text. This one is, you can do a lot with character, because you're saying, do a lot of close reading with the characters of the books, and because that is one thing that your focus is this 6 weeks. In poetry, helping them retell important events in poetry. That would be, doing that once a week would be very important, and then having them in their independent reading time take a poem and then retell it, or draw a picture of the things that you think were very important in that poem, and then give the text evidence for that. One of the things that I really want you to focus on is the comprehension toolkit lessons. I believe we're ready for this, and they're in the book Strategy 4, Infer Meaning. Now they have the main lesson, and then you have the lesson guides, and these are the frames. This is frame 12 and 13. The 12 is inferring meaning. You can break this up. These are such great lessons to do with your kids, and you would rinse and repeat them with different things. So go get your Strategy 4 book, then look at the end of the if you don't want to use that text that they chose, then go to the frame, and then it shows you how to use it. And this is the sheet that they use with it, which I really think is a great one. You don't have to copy this off. You can make this on a piece of paper, but this is the one, and I will attach this in Canvas for you. But lesson 12 and 13 are amazing, and I think that if you'll rinse and repeat those lessons with different types of genres, you're going to get a lot of bang for your buck. Inference with poems. This is one that you have in your overview, and then I just love the this Insectopledia because it's a good resource for them to really having authors kind of in an informational way of how poems are used. And then Honey, I Love Other Poems. Those are some great things too, and that's in a comprehension toolkit in lesson 12 as well. In informational text, you're going to use sticky notes. Use the 3 kinds of thinking, identifying a specific text feature each author uses. In the comprehension toolkit, the lesson 14, it talks about making sense of new information, and that lesson is rich in how you look at features of pictures and words, and then you teach kids to mark the text with code for different strategies. So that's a great lesson as well. Writing, we are writing beginning, middle, and end, and expected to use specific words. We want them using the writing process. We want them to use that simple organizer to think through that treasure in my hand. They're expected to include a simple introduction and a conclusion. They're expected to replace repetitive proper nouns with appropriate pronouns because we're talking about that. And then we want them to proofread for overusing connecting words. I like and, which they love to use. They're expected to write short poems, and then you have a great resource for that. And then we want them writing across the curriculum. We're really looking at nouns, like we said, and pronouns, and we want them making sure that they're putting those ending punctuation marks. So, Treasure in My Hand is your planning tool. This is a great way for kids to learn about how to organize using. We're going to use simple text, figure out how the writer uses the plan. So use an author and show the kids how that author, or write one of yours and then show how you use that planner. And then place a planner on each student's desk while writing, and continue to use as a student plan through the 6 weeks. Poem. I love this book. We've given this to you, each one of Reggie Routman. I can't tell you, she'll tell you exactly how to teach poetry, so it's great. You're going to use the stop pair to teach proofreading. Focus on overusing those ands, and then those punctuation. And then remember, do I notice with each part of speech? And I've talked to you about that. But securing that in their writing, are they using the appropriate nouns and pronouns? And then, as always, this is one we used last year from the digital media specialist about how people are using technology to have kids write and share their stories. This is a link to StoryKit. I just encourage you to contact those digital learning specialists so you can make things different. Start a blog with your kids. They're old enough now. Those digital learning specialists will teach you how to use maybe a class blog with your kids. They would really enjoy that. Happy New Year. I hope that this 4-6 weeks is a great one for you. Use your academic coaches. Call me if you need me.